Hey folks, welcome back to DCS. Today we've got a MiG-19 revisit for you, so it's been quite a long time since we've looked at this jet. Since I lowered my resolution and I've been enjoying the finer things, actually being able to see targets on Enigma's Cold War server, I've been trying in vain for a while now to get some decent footage of the MiG-19. The learning curve with this thing is pretty steep, but I feel like I'm finally working the kinks out. We've got 6 or 7 kills in this video. Spoiler alert. It was multiple flights, but all on the same day. It was actually recorded on Halloween, so hope you enjoy. Let's get straight into it. So here we merge with an F5. We take him one circle, or he takes us one circle. I just kind of go with it. I go vertical, pull pretty hard, and I end up beating him in the one circle, and because I'm so high, I'm not sure if he lost viz there, but I just pull back down on him, and we've turned it into a 2 circle. After a while, we catch up to him until he's forced to do something to change up the fight. So he jinks down, which I can't really follow effectively, and we end up overshooting. So jinking down was pretty smart on his part there. Just in the background right now you can see a friendly MiG-21 that's overshot him as well. I was kind of hoping I could rely on him for some assistance, but he immediately gets shot down by a Fox 2. So I'm departing flight briefly because I'm pulling too hard. I'm still learning the limits of the MiG-19. Get a missile off, but it just doesn't even try and track. Not sure what happened to it. Speculative gunshots there. I didn't really expect them to hit, but it would have been nice. And here I'm trying to manage closure so we don't overshoot. Kind of wishing I'd pulled the trigger slightly earlier on that one. And then when you get really close to people, it's quite annoying in the MiG-19 because the canopy struts are massive, so you have to lean around quite a bit. Every time we overshoot, we just go vertical. MiG-19 has a stupendous thrust-to-weight advantage over the F5, and it has a ridiculously good climb rate and very good energy retention. All you need to do is get an F5 turn and get it manoeuvre and get it low, and there's not much it can do. But the problem is that the MiG-19 has really shitty nose authority unless you're going very slow, so getting guns on is not an easy task even if they are a sitting duck, and at the minute that's the stage I'm at. I'm just trying to learn how to be better at aiming essentially. So again, we followed him into a rate there, and we eventually caught up to him, but we've just merged with a Mirage, another Target 2, and a third target is 15 kilometers out. Thankfully, he does us a service by just doming himself into the ground, so that works out pretty well. And then the Mirage emerges behind us. So we go one circle with him just to stop him from getting guns on. Don't know if he has missiles, and I don't know how good they are, because on this iteration of Enigma's server, everyone's limited to pretty shitty missile that are rear aspect only. So it looks like someone just shot at the Mirage. And we've got an F5 back behind us as well. We just narrowly avoided a Fox 2 before we started this climb into the clouds. And I completely lost viz because of the clouds, so I dive away, hoping that I'd spot them somewhere. But obviously, because it's me and I have the worst luck in the world, they end up both managing to find me without any issues whatsoever. And now we've got 2 of them on our 6. But that dive gave us a crap load of speed, so I'm literally just full backstick here, using the MiG-19 as thrust to just keep this left turn going, and you can see I'm already starting to reel them in quite significantly. The MiG-19 is just a rate fighting beast. Not sure whether to prioritise the F5 or the Mirage F1 at this stage. The F1 seems to be doing a lot better in the rate fight. Not sure if that's just a product of the situation or if it just is a better rate fight. We've got a friendly MiG-15 on the right hand side diving in there, who looks to be going after the Mirage, so I kind of abandon the Mirage at this point and go for the F5 instead. If I carried on as I was, I would definitely have overshot there, so I'd go and stack high. dive in on it. If I'd got this shot, it would have been awesome. But no joy. Again, we're using the vertical just to stop ourselves from overshooting, because we're carrying a lot more speed than he is, and if we can get him to nose up after us, he'll lose even more of it, which is what we want, because the slower he is, the less he can do about us just repeatedly diving on it. We've basically got him energy trapped at this point. I just have to not suck. That's all that is required of me right now. So I couldn't get the nose down enough to... Another opportunity presenting itself. He's actually opened up quite a gap, so I'm thinking of going for a Fox 2, but then he reverses his turn. I just come all the way off the throttle here, and we managed to actually stay behind him. And eventually, we get some hits. I'm not sure what the hell that damage is supposed to mean, but it seems that we killed his pilot, because he just piles straight in. So moving on to a later clip, and we merge with an F5 that was just speeding around at ridiculously high altitude for some reason. Not really sure what he was aiming for here, but he was well within our lines, so he just basically up at like 20,000+ feet, flew deep into our territory, and then me, another MiG-19, which you can see coming in on him there, and a MiG-21, all just beam after him, and he ends up just getting stuck with all of us on him at once. And in trying to maneuver to avoid my teammates, he ends up giving me a 6. And he'll reverse the turn at the worst imaginable time, for him anyway, here, and we're able to get a very, very easy Fox 2 shot. And at this kind of altitude, ship missiles are actually good, because there's so little air resistance that can actually maneuver and accelerate pretty quickly, and their range is much better. Here, a later clip, we just literally took off a couple of minutes ago and ditched the tanks pretty much straight away, and then this F5 comes bursting out the clouds right in front of us. I think, from memory, there's a MiG-21 tangled up with him, but I've not spotted that yet. So we go one circle, and we actually win the one circle. I think he was carrying more speed. Unlucky that we don't get any hits there, they looked pretty close. I'm convinced that at some point in the future, my gunnery with this jet will not suck, but I'm definitely not there yet. He seems to have lost quite a lot of speed, so I'm using my thrust advantage to roll over the top of him. And I thought this was looking pretty good, but I didn't realise he was in such a high nose-up attitude, so I thought I was going to fall in on his 6, but I didn't realise he was actually climbing. And we've just merged with another F5, so there's 2 of them here. He's just keeping us in the vertical fight, and I know that I can win this with my thrust advantage. There goes the other F5, so I switch targets to him, because if I keep the fight high, that other F5 was diving away, and I can still burst after this guy with that thrust advantage. So we switch targets back to the original guy now, hoping that he won't be in a position to try and avoid our shots. But my gunnery sucks, so we miss another opportunity to get a kill there. The other F5's high up in the background, and the first one is closer, so I decided to stick on him. The second one just went head on with us but didn't get a shot on, so we're free from him for a couple of minutes. It's going to take him a while to turn around. And I'm going for a missile shot here, but for some reason I don't get tone. And then when I do get tone, I worry that it's because of the sun behind that cloud and not because of him, so I decide to hold the shot. We're going to overshoot if we keep this up, so I go high, but then he dives. So he's reacting to what I'm doing to avoid the nose, which is smart on his part. And I lose him in the cloud, so I roll to the right, just to try and keep eyes on. And we actually do manage to spot him again, but then I end up diving through the cloud. And I'm straining my eyes here to keep eyes on. Checking 6 for the other guy. Not sure if he managed to maintain vis as we all went through the cloud or not. climb back up because I never saw the other guy come down, and at this point I'm blind and I've completely lost visual on both of them. I have no idea where either of them are. As we dive through, I'm going to ping Overlord Bot, and then I actually do spot one thanks to the Overlord Bot callouts. So here I'm lagging my turn to try and get behind him. This is before he's noticed that I'm there, at least I think. And then we go burner and just pull him into the hood, and I'm hoping that as he gets straight, we'll be right behind him. And I should be able to get a Fox 2 shot. I think around this point here is when he spotted me. And because he keeps pulling, I don't bother to go for the Fox 2. He's definitely seen me now, so he pulls into a dive, which is a great way of stopping the MiG-19 from following you, because it lacks the nose authority to recover the dive if it actually does follow you down. And then he goes up again, which bleeds off a load of speed, and gives his friendly a shot. So he actually just shot both of my elevators off. But somehow, thanks to the magic of vehicle dynamics, I guess, or RASMAP, I suppose, since it's their module, I'm able to still actually maneuver. My elevator authority is bad enough to begin with, but now it's about a third as effective as it normally is. So you can see I'm able to pull out this dive, but it's taking me a while, so I have to be very conscious of all my maneuvers at this point. And there is actually a friendly MiG-19 in the mix, which you will see briefly as it kills that F5 for me. So there he goes. Thank you to him, otherwise I'd be completely boned. So now I've got to regain viz on the original guy, and it turns out he's right behind me. Who would have thought it? We're in a pretty crippled MiG-19. I can still control it fairly well, even though I don't have elevators. We have some clear wing damage there, but it doesn't seem to be affecting our performance. So I'm just using the throttle to manage my turn rate. The slower I go, the tighter I turn, but it's really not great, and the F5 has absolutely no problem whatsoever outmaneuvering me and staying on my 6. I can't outrate him anymore because I can't pull hard enough. So I just nose counter him, and he actually somehow manages to overshoot. And then during the overshoot he spots my friendly, and he decides to switch targets to him, probably because he figures I've taken some hits, so I'm less of a threat. Or maybe he saw that I didn't have elevators and thought that I'd just crash, because, you know, that's the pretty logical assumption to make, that a plane without elevators wouldn't be able to do anything. He might have just thought that I was stuck in a positive G10 because of my lack of elevators, who knows. But unfortunately for him, I am able to still maneuver, and as dumb as it is that I can still maneuver without elevators, I'm not gonna just eject and give up the plane because I should. It's not my problem to fix this bug, so until it gets sorted out, I'm just gonna... I don't want to use the word abuse it, but it basically is abusing it, isn't it? Like, if I get both my elevators shut off, really I shouldn't have any pitch control whatsoever. It didn't actually occur to me at the time to try using my flaps, because I could have potentially regained some of my turn rate if I'd used the flaps. So go for a speculative shot there. He's completely ignoring me and focusing on my friendly. He might have seen me around this point, but he doesn't seem to try and manoeuvre onto my 6, he's just defensive against my teammate. And at this point, sometime around now at least, I'm wondering if I can change my pitch settings, because I can't remember, I think it's called the ARU system. It's a hydraulic system that actuates the elevators of the MiG-19 if it's in high speed, so it's essentially to stop the jet from compressing too much at high speed, but also to limit your elevator pull so that you can't rip your own wings off. But you can manually manipulate it to be able to pull harder than you ought to be able to. And I'm wondering if I can manipulate that to get some of my pitch authority back, but it doesn't work, and in doing it I lose visual, so I use Overlord Bot to regain viz, and the fact that my brief stint of blindness creates some separation actually helps me out here. So our friendly MiG-19 did actually just get some pretty juicy hits on him. But I have a perfect Fox 2 opportunity here, and I'm not going to waste it. Because this isn't War Thunder, and you don't lose anything for stealing kills. Or sorry, you don't lose anything if other people steal your kills. So sorry to that guy for nicking that kill, but you didn't lose anything from it. I didn't know how crippled the F5 was, so I just kind of went for it. Here we get a call out from Overlord TechSpot of an F5 who is completely oblivious of us. I think he was running to our lines to try and damage some of our ground units rather than going for air targets. Somehow doesn't react to me doming him there. I'm not sure how significant that damage was. Honestly, I think the weakest part of DCS is the visual damage models, because it just looks awful. So he did actually lose one of his elevators from that hit. Here I'm trying to use the radar gun sight, but it's not having it at all. He is not trying to dodge us whatsoever, so I just spray him down, take a wing off, he ejects straight away. We move on to another Overlord call out to an A10, and hoping to get hits there, but unfortunately don't. A10's not much of a threat when it's only got rear aspect missiles. In fact, I'm not sure if the A10 still gets all aspects for the sake of balance or not. So I'm just trying to stay out of his nose. A10 can actually outmaneuver me or turn inside me significantly at lower speeds. So I'm using my burner to just pull my nose around. He's in a pretty aggressive dive right here, and he narrowly avoids hitting the ground, and then he reverses his turn, which gives me a window to dive in and get some shots on. And thankfully, we actually get the hits. Target 2 merge call. This is a little bit later on. I can see some traces in the distance, so that tells me that the F5 is the guy on the back, because they weren't red traces, they were yellow. And we get tone, and there's the connection. This is the landing from when I didn't have any elevators. My flaps were damaged, so they're asymmetric, so I'm having to roll right quite heavily to keep the nose up. I'm having to keep my speed around 300 kilometers per hour, because if I go any slower, I don't have the pitch authority to pull my nose back up, so I'm having to land pretty fast. I'm trying to counter the roll. There's a crosswind, so I'm having to add some rudder in as well. And you can see in the chat that everyone's basically chatting about how stupid the damage model is, where the MiG-19 can get kills and fly around without elevators. But once we put her down, that's the end of the video, folks, so I hope you've enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.